Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today, I'm going to be discussing and answering the question, was the wealth transfer ever delayed or was it held back? I've been seeing lately and also before in the past about people saying the Lord said this is the reason why the wealth transfer was delayed or it was held back. Also, I'm going to be talking about and discussing about when prophets or dreamers or whatever, and they say that the wealth transfer is here or the wealth transfer has arrived. And I'm going to share with you guys that everything that I'm getting ready to show you shows that many of these people are not hearing from God. Now, first, before I get into this, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information, giving you my thoughts and my opinions on that information. Now, when I hear people talk about saying the Lord or God told them or God shared in a dream that the wealth transfer was delayed or held back, I know that they are not hearing from God. It's one thing that I have learned when studying God's wealth transfer, that there were so many things that were not in position. Right? For example, like the crypto markets, hedge funds like BlackRock, Grayscale, ARK, banks, market makers, and other major entities were not pouring their wealth into crypto. And a lot of people say because the crypto markets are going up, that the wealth of the wicked is being transferred over to the righteous. And I'm getting ready to share with you folks that they don't have any clue. Because you cannot take away the wealth of the wicked if it wasn't there to begin with. Now, let me focus on the stock market for a second. Because the stock market is important to God's wealth transfer. Now, this article came out in 2021. And it says here, the wealthiest 10% of Americans own a record 89% of U.S. stocks. Right? That was in 2021. Now let's fast forward 2.5 years to January 10th of 2024. It says here, the wealthiest 10% of Americans own 93% of stocks, even with the market participation at a record high. So the stock market over the last several years has been prepping itself for this wealth transfer. And now it's almost at its peak. And we have been talking and discussing about the plan about buying certain stocks, buying certain companies when the markets do tank, when certain companies, maybe during a flash crash or just the markets have crashed, that we'll be able to take advantage because of the wealth that we have gained from other markets, that we will be able to be a participant in the wealth transfer concerning the stock market, concerning businesses, and in other areas of the markets. So I believe now that the stock market is finally set up, but the one thing that lacks right now is the wealth transfer community needs seed money for the stock market. That's just like we've talked about, maybe Disney or other companies like, we can buy Disney out because if the stock market is going to crash, Disney may go to a certain low point. Same with McDonald's. We've seen, I think it was, 60-something cents that somebody saw in a dream, how low that's going to get, whether it's during a flash crash or a crash, right? But we need seed money in order to be able to put ourselves into position for that. So the wealth transfer can't happen because we're not in position to do that right now. And not only that, the dollar wasn't in position. Fiat is not yet in position. The central banks are not in position. XRP and digital currencies, CBDCs, are not in position. It's like, the XRP case is central to banks and the crypto markets relating to the wealth transfer. And there's been so many prophets that have failed in their prophecies saying that the case was going to be resolved or it's going to be settled or XRP was going to win by this date or that date or by the end of the year. But this case has taken years to resolve and there's still one more phase left. Now, if all the wealth of the wicked was in the crypto markets, Bitcoin would be at 300,000 plus. Shiba Inu would be at $1. Many, many coins would be way past their all-time high if the wealth of the wicked is in the markets. And that's why when I see people say or making videos that the wealth transfer is here or the wealth transfer has arrived, where have most of these people been over the last 3 to 10 years? They're not even talking about any of the other markets. I mean, I've listened to many of these so-called wealth transfer prophecies. Just an example, right? You got the stock market, you got the crypto market, you got the real estate market, you got the fiat markets, you got commodities, whether they're raw, hard, or soft. You got different types of mutual funds. You got the energy market. You got the bond market. Where are any of these prophets talking about all these things together? Right? Very few. Right? But some people have different parts of it, right? But the people that I'm referring to that are claiming to hear from God, they're only focusing on the crypto markets because they can't tell you anything else because they don't know. Right? And I'm talking about these people who are claiming that the wealth transfer was delayed, or the wealth transfer is here, or the wealth transfer has arrived. Because I do believe that there are people that have different parts, and there are people that speak only concerning mostly the crypto markets, right? But some of them do touch on some of the other areas. Let's take a look at this chart. Okay, because people say the wealth transfer is going to happen with Shiba Inu. The wealth transfer is happening with cryptocurrency. But when you take a look at how much money is in the world, cryptocurrencies is only $2 trillion. Coins and notes, $7 trillion. Gold, $12 trillion. Derivatives, $16 trillion. M1 and M0 plus current accounts, $59 trillion. The stock market, $95 trillion. The oil markets, $104 trillion. M2 and M1 plus market funds and savings accounts, $125 trillion. Real estate, $281 trillion. So tell me, if the wealth transfer is happening with crypto and Shiba Inu, where is all the money? It's not in cryptocurrencies. It's in all the other markets. So these people cannot be telling you that they are hearing from God. These people have no idea what they're talking about. Now, recently, too, there's been a lot of individual channels that I have never seen or heard of before, and they're saying that the wealth transfer is here, the wealth transfer has arrived, right? And I think there's a lot of people out there, and I can show it to you, and I can prove to you that many of these people are just trying to build their channel off of the wealth transfer. And the number one reason why they do that, because if you are spending money in the wealth transfer, they want you to give some of that money to them. That's why as soon as they start their wealth transfer channel, they're asking you to donate Bitcoin, XRP, and all that stuff, and they've only made a couple videos. Right? All of a sudden, they're hearing from God, and they're giving dates and time frames and being wrong, and the people are still following them anyway. And so, but many of these wealth transfer prophecies, they're not even telling you how to be a part of it. They're just telling you the wealth transfer is about to happen, but they're not telling you how to invest. They're not telling you how to dig your wells, right? They're not telling you how to increase your talents. They're not telling you anything. And then they have their people that are watching them expecting money to fall out the sky and be completely ill prepared for what's about to happen in the global markets. Now, going back to 2022, we saw many false prophets. We saw many people giving false dates. We saw many people giving false time frames, and it was all to build their YouTube channel. And if you think about it, Shibarium wasn't ready. I mean, look where Shiba Inu is at now compared to where it was, almost 2 years ago. They are still working out things. So obviously these prophets and dreamers were not hearing from God. They were hearing from their flesh, or they were copying what others are saying. And they're all doing this just to boost their channel. And then now some of them are speaking again all of a sudden. They've dusted off their wealth transfer clothes and put them back on. And now they're speaking about the wealth transfer again, all because the markets are going up. Like look what happened when Shiba Inu went up by 200%, 300%. All of a sudden, prophecies were fulfilled. All of a sudden, the wealth transfer is here. All of a sudden, the wealth transfer has arrived. And now, look, the price went back down. Where are those people now? What are they saying now? It is going to be very important on who you listen to. Now, just listen to this, right? I'm not sharing the person who had these videos, but I'm going to share their titles. And I've listened to all these videos, so you don't have to go back and listen, and I've put all the dates. Okay? And there's this one particular channel, they said in 2021, November, that in 2022, that they saw an economic collapse, right? The stock market will crash. Prophetic warning for 2022. Did it happen? No, it did not. Then going forward, 8 months later, prophetic word on the wealth transfer. Shiba Inu is about to explode, right? August 30th of 2022. The wealth transfer will happen on the 31st and the 1st of this month. Did it happen? No, it did not. Then on August the 31st, they said the wealth transfer today, right? Trying to prophesy it through because they had given prophecies they knew that weren't going to come to pass. Now those days came and gone, right? And then the wealth transfer is about to happen. And that was on October the 19th of 2022. So just based off of that, if this person is claiming to be a prophet and they got all of this wrong, the stock market collapse, Shiba Inu, and the wealth transfer, and we already talked about what the wealth transfer, what all it entails, but would you want to listen to this person? Right? January 27th of 2023, wealth transfer instructions. Okay, so this person was wrong on all these dates over here. Why would you want to listen to their wealth transfer instructions? Right? We're talking about people who are claiming to be prophets and claiming to hear from God. We're not talking about predictions. That's a whole different story. March 5th, 2024, that was when Shiba Inu was going up. Wealth transfer starts today in Jesus' name. Right? March 13th, urgent wealth transfer instructions. Right? So again, would you want to listen to those wealth transfer instructions? And do those wealth transfer instructions, do they have anything to do with anything else besides the crypto markets? And why would you want to listen to that? Bitcoin flash crashes here, the fall of Babylon. You're just prophesying off of what everybody else is saying. Right? Everybody's expecting the flash crash to happen at any moment right now. Right? I've even talked about, even shared what the world has said about flash crashes. I've also shared what people have said prophetic about the flash crashes. But when you actually go listen to the video, you can see how kooky it really is. And then to also reference another prophet who's been wrong multiple times in the financial realm. So this is a perfect example of what has been happening in the wealth transfer. This particular person has almost 450 videos. 10 are wealth transfer, 2 are Shiba Inu, 1 is crypto, and 1 is stock market. And that's it. And they're not saying anything that nobody else has already said before. Or they're adding things that makes absolutely no sense at all whatsoever. The flash crash to zero was never delayed because the wealth of the wicked was never in place. And they're just now getting into the market. So if the flash crash happens today, there's not very much money that's going to be transferred. I just showed it to you. $2 trillion. Look at all this other money. Look at all these other hundreds of trillions of dollars in all the other markets. And look at the cryptocurrency market. So don't tell me that the wealth transfer is here. The wealth transfer is happening. Now the flash crash, I did think at one time that it was going to happen previously, but I didn't have an understanding. I didn't say, well, it's supposed to happen on this day or that day or this day. I shared with you how to prepare for that. And you see where Coinbase now is the ETF Bitcoin custodian for BlackRock, Grayscale, ARK, Bitwise, WisdomTree, Invesco, Valkyrie, Franklin, and more. Coinbase aligning themselves with the big players. These people weren't even in the markets the way they are 6 months ago. So how can the Bitcoin flash crash be delayed? That should tell you that the wealth transfer was never delayed because it was never ready to begin with. Keep in mind the flash crash is a wealth transfer event. It's not the wealth transfer, it's an event. Right? Other elements of the wealth transfer that include land, houses, cars, businesses will not start until the markets and the world economy hit rock bottom. And the question I want to ask, is the flash crash even ready now? I've shared with you guys, just out of 19 million Bitcoin, there's only 2 million Bitcoin on the markets. So there has to be an event where a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of crypto are going to zero from whatever that event is, and everybody's dumping, right? But if it was to happen today, there's not going to be that much Bitcoin distributed. I'm going to tell you that right now. You can see here. There's 1.8 million that's reported in circulation on exchanges, and maybe out of all the other exchanges, maybe another 200,000 combined. And there's another very important element that was missing. God's people needed to take time to learn the basics of the markets, to learn the basics of crypto. To fully participate in God's wealth transfer, you have to be ready and educated in other markets, or at least be educated enough to follow others who do know and how, when, and where to transfer funds. Right? We talked about transferring money into gold. Well, there's going to come a point in time where people will transfer money into gold or silver or certain stocks. or certain other markets, right? And the more that you learn about the other markets and you participate in the other markets, like some other people that I know, those are the ones that are going to be able to benefit the most because they've taken the time out to learn all the different markets. For all those who are just waiting for Shiba Inu to go up, you're only going to go so far and that's it. God's plan was never fully revealed, and there are still parts that are not revealed. Some things will never be revealed so that God can give us the go signal when the time is right. Right? Because once this flash crash happens and people lose a lot of their crypto, right? Unless it's a massive dump, right? People are not going to be able to trust bots. They're not going to be able to trust their low buy limit orders, again, for a very long time. Now, if the wealth transfer was delayed in 2022 or 2023, then all these pieces would have already been in place, but they are not. How many of you have money right now to go into any other markets besides cryptocurrency? Most of you are going to say, no, you're not ready. Now, if the wealth transfer was delayed in 2022 or 2023, all these other pieces would have already been in place, but they weren't. That tells you that when people make these claims of a delay or being held back, they're not telling you the truth and they are not hearing from God. Many of these channels are trying to grab your attention. They want you to listen to them about the wealth transfer, right? But they're giving you dates and time frames, and then they're telling you it's okay to falsely prophesy and give dates and time frames. And they make excuses for these people. They want you to listen to them so you can give to them, so they can build their YouTube channel. And they're out there trying to make you think that they are hearing from God. The real wealth transfer can't start until all the pieces are in place. And we are talking about trillions and trillions of dollars. We're talking hundreds of trillions of dollars in the real wealth transfer that will move to God's people. For those who align themselves properly, for those who listen to the correct people. Because I'll tell you this, when I changed over to the wealth transfer with TC, what God shared with me was to focus on prophecy and prophecy only, right? And I have my limits on who I listen to, but we try to listen to the most accurate people. And I also, when it comes to the people in the world, I try to listen to the most accurate chart readers. I try to listen to the most accurate crypto experts and so on. This year is going to be the most important year when it comes to prophetic accuracy and who you listen to. Don't be fooled by the enemy who has set up snares for you for your failure through others who claim that they are hearing from God and that they are speaking for God. You have to remember that God is going to set up snares for the false prophets and the people who are claiming to hear from him. One last point that I want to make is that when you see these people making these claims and you know that they are wrong, you know that they are not hearing from God, see, God is going to set up snares for those who are claiming to hear from him and claiming to speak for him. And then they get exposed. But the other problem, though, with that, even though when these people are exposed, people still follow them anyway. That's why it's going to be so important to listen to people who are prophetically accurate. If they are not prophetically accurate and they keep missing dates and they keep missing time frames and they keep generalizing prophecy, and that's another thing that I can't stand, general prophecies. They say that, oh, Shiba Inu is going up by 200%. Guess what? All the coins are going up by 200%. There's tons of coins that are going up by 200, 300, 500. All of a sudden now that's a prophecy because somebody is making a prediction. When a chart reader makes a prediction that's head on, do we call it a prophecy? No, we don't. But there are many people out there that are trying to deceive you into thinking that they are prophesying, and they are not. There are people that predict crypto better than prophets. And I could give you one example. When Lewis, based off the charts, he saw Bitcoin go down to 15,000. How many other people saw it go that low? Almost a year out. Be careful, some of these prophets are listening to chart readers and people who are really good at looking the charts, not just in the short term, but in the medium term, in the long term, and even years to come. Don't be fooled, for the enemy has set up snares for your failure through others who are claiming to hear from God and to speak for God. So that's all that I have for this today. I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.